I can't catch my breath. Help me. That voicemail. That's Brittany Murphy's final, desperate plea to her mother, Sharon. December 20th, 2009. The call that should have saved her life, but didn't. But here's what nobody's connecting. I had no idea she had pneumonia. I took very good care of my wife. That's Simon Monjack, her husband, lying through his teeth while Brittany was literally gasping for air. But Simon wasn't alone that night. According to newly surfaced evidence and whistleblower testimony, two massive names orchestrated every second of what happened inside that Hollywood Hills bathroom: Diddy and Ashton Kutcher.
I want to marry you.
Ashton on set with Brittany in Just Married, the movie that started it all, the connection that pulled Brittany into a world she never should have entered, a world where people who ask questions simply don't survive. This is the story nobody's been bold enough to tell, and after you hear this, you'll understand why. Welcome back. What you just heard wasn't just a clip show. It was a timeline of deception, a carefully constructed murder disguised as pneumonia. Brittany Murphy was a Hollywood icon. By the early 2000s, she'd conquered everything. Clueless at 19.8 Mile alongside Eminem. She had looks, talent, and more importantly, she had access. Access to secrets. On December 20th, 2009, at exactly 8 a.m., everything changed. Brittany collapsed in the bathroom of her Hollywood Hills home. But this wasn't some random health crisis. Witnesses who were there that morning later described something chilling. Brittany was in absolute terror. She wasn't sick, she was poisoned, and she knew it. The official story: pneumonia combined with anemia, some over-the-counter meds. Case closed. Tragic accident. Move on. But Brittany's father, Angelo Bertolotti, never believed it. He couldn't. Because pneumonia doesn't just kill healthy 32-year-old actresses. And it definitely doesn't kill their husbands exactly the same way 5 months later. Let's rewind to what led to that final voicemail. Brittany had been dating Ashton Kutcher since late 2002. They met on the set of Just Married, a romantic comedy that was supposed to launch both their careers to the stratosphere. On screen, they were perfect. But behind the scenes, that's when Ashton revealed his true circle.
I want to marry you.
Innocent words, but loaded with implication. Because by introducing Brittany to his world, Ashton was opening a door that couldn't be closed. A door that led directly to Diddy. Now, Diddy and Ashton's friendship has been documented for years. The photos, the parties, the connections. But what hasn't been widely discussed is how Ashton used that friendship. He wasn't just hanging around Diddy at parties. He was a facilitator, a pipeline. And Brittany Murphy became one of Diddy's targets. By 2003, Brittany was in deep. The freak-off parties, the exclusive circles, the inner sanctum of Hollywood's most powerful men. And she saw things, disturbing things, the kind of things that get people silenced. Multiple sources now claim that Brittany became uncomfortable with what she was witnessing. According to anonymous testimonies filed with federal investigators, Brittany discovered deeply troubling details about Diddy and Ashton's alleged behavior. She started questioning Ashton, she started distancing herself, but here's the problem. Once you know too much about Diddy, you don't just walk away. There's a cost. Enter Simon Monjack. On the surface, Simon was a screenwriter and producer. Older, sophisticated, European. But he wasn't some random guy Brittany happened to meet. He was strategically placed. According to whistleblower Sarah, a former government employee who came forward after Brittany's death, Simon was the inside man, a handler, someone connected to Diddy through a network of trainers, fixers, and enablers. One trainer's name kept surfacing: Harley Pasternak. Harley wasn't just some fitness coach. He was known in Hollywood circles as a handler for powerful men. He had connections to Diddy. He had connections to people who needed to be controlled. And most importantly, he had leverage over Simon Monjack. Simon owed him money, a lot of money. When you owe someone like Harley money, there's only one way to settle the debt. You do what you're asked to do. Brittany had been complaining to friends and family that she thought someone was trying to poison her. Not just once, repeatedly. She told her mother Sharon, she told her close friends. She was convinced powerful people in Hollywood wanted her dead. By 2008, Brittany was living in that Hollywood Hills mansion with Simon. She was isolated, paranoid, and for good reason. And she wasn't paranoid, she was right. Here's where the evidence becomes irrefutable. Brittany's house had CCTV cameras, fingerprint recognition locks, a scrambling device to prevent phone taps. These weren't security measures a happy housewife installs. These were the precautions of someone under surveillance, someone who knew she was a target, but who was doing the watching. Simon claimed it was external threats, but whistleblower Sarah's testimony suggests something different. The surveillance was internal. They were watching her, all the time. In the months leading up to her death, Brittany's behavior changed dramatically. She became fearful of food, fearful of drinks, fearful of anything that came into the house. She knew the method, she knew the poison was coming, and she couldn't stop it. Then, in December 2009, it began. The flu-like symptoms. That's what the official reports called it. But flu doesn't make you fear for your life. Poison does. Brittany reached out to her mother Sharon multiple times that week. She was sick, violently sick, and she kept saying the same thing. I can't catch my breath, help me. But here's the issue. Simon was controlling access. When Brittany's mother wanted to take her to the hospital earlier, Simon blocked it. He said she was fine, just the flu, just some medication and rest. No doctor, no outside medical intervention, no witnesses. Because once a doctor examined Brittany, the truth would come out. The poison would be detected. The plan would collapse. So they waited. They watched. And on the morning of December 20th, Brittany's body finally gave out. Cedars-Sinai Medical Emergency Response Description. Firefighters attempting revival. She collapsed in the bathroom. Her mother Sharon found her. Emergency responders tried to revive her, but it was too late. The poisoning had done its job. The official cause of death? Pneumonia and anemia. Accidental, natural causes. But here's what the coroner's office didn't test for: heavy metals. It took Brittany's father, Angelo, 2 years to hire an independent lab. When the results came back, they were chilling. High levels of heavy metals in Brittany's hair. The kind found in rat poison, the kind found in insecticides, the kind that mimics pneumonia symptoms perfectly while leaving minimal traces in standard autopsies. Angelo didn't mince words. He said his daughter was murdered, but the lab closed the case. The coroner never corrected the report, and a deafening silence fell over Hollywood. Here's what officials don't want you to notice. Brittany Murphy wasn't an isolated case. 5 months after Brittany died, Simon Monjack was found dead in the same bedroom where his wife had died. The cause? Identical. Pneumonia, anemia. Think about that for a second. The same poisoning method, the same timeline of illness, the same convenient diagnosis, the same man who'd been controlling access to Brittany, now conveniently dead. But there's more. Look at the pattern of deaths connected to Diddy. Kim Porter, his ex, mother of his children, died in 2018 at 47 years old. Cause of death? Pneumonia. Same coroner as Brittany Murphy. Same mysterious circumstances.
But she passed away in 2009 from pneumonia and anemia because that's normal.
Natural. That's the word they keep using. But when multiple young, healthy, connected people start dropping from pneumonia, natural becomes a euphemism. Paul Walker, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Tom Petty, all connected in some way to Diddy's sphere. All pneumonia. All ruled natural. But here's the smoking gun. Ed Winter was the deputy coroner who conducted autopsies for both Brittany Murphy and Kim Porter. 2 women with the exact same cause of death. 2 women connected to Diddy. Both ruled accidental or natural. Then Ed Winter died in March 2023, before he could complete Kim Porter's second autopsy, before he could review new evidence, before he could change his original findings. Another convenient death. Another witness silenced. The pattern is undeniable. The method is consistent, and the common denominator is always the same: Diddy. Now, let's talk about something specific that connects all of this. Baby oil. When federal agents raided Diddy's homes in March 2024, they seized over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Thousands. An industrial quantity that makes absolutely no sense for personal use. But it makes perfect sense if baby oil is your poison delivery method. One anonymous source made a chilling comment: drinking a specific amount of baby oil could give you a lethal case of pneumonia. Think about how brilliant that is. How diabolical. Baby oil isn't a controlled substance. It's sold over the counter. It's innocuous. Nobody suspects it. And if administered slowly in food or drink, it can accumulate in the lungs, causing fluid buildup, respiratory failure, and death that mimics pneumonia perfectly. The coroner wouldn't test for it. The family wouldn't suspect it. The victim would just seem like they caught a nasty flu. And here's the worst part. Brittany was living in a house with Simon, who had financial obligations to people connected to Diddy. Every meal she ate, every drink she took, every moment in that house was an opportunity. The surveillance cameras weren't to protect Brittany. They were to monitor the poisoning, to make sure it was administered correctly, to ensure she didn't seek help before it was too late. Ashton Kutcher knew this was happening. His introduction of Brittany to Diddy's world set the stage. His silence after her death sealed it. When asked about Brittany following her tragic passing, Ashton went weirdly quiet, according to multiple sources. He didn't mourn publicly. He didn't demand justice. He moved on to Demi Moore, because Ashton knew the truth, and the truth was that Brittany Murphy had been eliminated. The most disturbing part of this story isn't the murder, it's the cover-up. It's the people who knew and said nothing. Brittany's mother, Sharon, was living in that house. She was there the entire time, and after Brittany's death, her behavior became increasingly suspicious. First, Sharon pushed the mold theory. Toxic mold in the house could have killed Brittany. But when investigators Investigators asked to test for mold. Both Sharon and Simon refused. If mold was the real culprit, why block an inspection? Then, after Simon died, Sharon suddenly stopped mentioning mold. She sold the house immediately. She collected Brittany's estate, and she moved on with her life as if nothing had happened. A pathologist examined the autopsy results and found no fungal traces, no mold in the bloodstream, no mold in the lungs. The mold theory was a red herring, a distraction. So Sharon knew, or at minimum, she was complicit in the cover-up. Either she was paid off, or she was threatened into silence, because no mother abandons seeking justice for her daughter's murder without a reason. Multiple conspiracy theorists have speculated that Sharon herself was involved, that she administered the poison, that she benefited financially from Brittany's death. And while we can't prove that, we can prove that she obstructed investigations. We can prove she lied to protect Simon. We can prove she moved on remarkably quickly from her daughter's tragic accident. The whistleblower Sarah's testimony becomes crucial here. According to Sarah, Brittany and Simon were both targeted by powerful people before their deaths. Sarah claims that Brittany and Simon had information that needed to be silenced, that they were a threat. To whom? To Diddy, to Ashton, to the entire network of powerful men who rely on secrecy and silence. When Simon died 5 months later, it was either because he was also a liability. Maybe he was going to talk he was an accomplice who needed to be eliminated to eliminate witnesses. He was being punished by Diddy's network for failing to fully control Brittany. The truth is, we may never know, because all the witnesses are dead or silenced. So let's return to that voicemail. I can't catch my breath. Help me. That wasn't a sick woman gasping for air. That was a poisoned woman calling for help from the one person in the house who might actually save her mother. But Sharon couldn't save her because Simon was there, and Simon had his orders. When you connect all the pieces, the surveillance, the isolation, the controlled access, the mysterious illness, the convenient death, Simon's identical death 5 months later, the cover-up, the refusal to investigate, the heavy metal findings that were initially ignored, the pattern of deaths around Diddy, Ed Winter's convenient passing, the baby oil connection, Ashton's silence, and whistleblower testimony, you don't get an accidental death. You get a premeditated murder. Brittany Murphy's last voicemail is evidence. It's a record of the moment when she understood what was happening, when she realized she'd been poisoned by people she trusted, when she reached out to the only person who might help, and that person was unable or unwilling to save her. That voicemail is Brittany's final testimony. It's her voice from beyond the grave, telling the world, I was murdered, my death was planned. Diddy and Ashton Kutcher orchestrated my silencing, and justice was never served. The question now is, will it ever be? Diddy is currently locked up facing serious federal charges. But those charges don't include Brittany Murphy. They don't include Simon Monjack. They don't include the pattern of deaths stretching back decades. The FBI has the voicemail. The FBI has Brittany's family's testimony about her fears. The FBI has the heavy metals report. The FBI has whistleblower statements. But they need public pressure. They need people to demand that Brittany Murphy's case be reopened. They need people to ask the hard questions about Ashton Kutcher's involvement. They need people to understand that this wasn't one actress's tragic accident. This was a murder, a calculated, deliberate, planned murder by some of the most powerful men in entertainment. Brittany Murphy deserved better. She deserved justice. If you believe her voice matters, if you believe her death deserves investigation, if you believe the pattern is undeniable, drop a comment, share this video, demand answers, because Brittany's last voicemail was a cry for help. The least we can do is make sure the world hears it.